Welcome to Beyond a Happy Marriage. I'm Arkadiusz.
And I'm Monika.
If you are striving for something deeper than just a happy marriage,
if you want a relationship that's truly transformative, that leads to intentional living,
then this podcast is for you.
We are absolutely delighted to bring our conversations to English-speaking couples around the world.
I'm going to tell you something that probably nobody told you before your wedding. Your wife isn't one person. She's two. And I'm not talking about a split personality. I'm not talking about a personality disorder. I'm talking about something far more fascinating and far more useful for your marriage. Every 2 weeks, her brain goes through a complete transformation. Not metaphorical, physical, neurological, hormonal. And if you don't understand this, you're missing one of the biggest opportunities to build a truly conscious, harmonious relationship. Over 18 years of marriage with Monika, I've observed this pattern, and I discovered something that changes everything. When you stop fighting what's biological and start understanding it, your marriage enters a completely different level. My name is Arkadiusz, and today I will tell you about a discovery that revolutionized my understanding of marriage. I'm basing this on a groundbreaking research by Dr. Sarah Hill from her book, The Period Brain. But I will show you this through the lens of 18 years living with a woman who is both a scientist and a wife. Ready? Because what you're about to hear will change how you look at your wife. Today, I'm going to tell you about 3 things. First, I'll show you scientific research that explains why your wife changes every 2 weeks. And no, it's not just hormones in the way you think. It's something much deeper. Second, I'll share a personal story from our marriage. I'll tell you about the moment when I understood I was fighting with my wife's biology instead of working with it, and how this shift in perspective saved us from many unnecessary conflicts. And third, I'll give you specific, practical steps you can implement this very week. Not theory, not generalities, concrete actions that will change the dynamics of your home. But first, I need to warn you. If you're looking for easy answers like buy her flowers or when she's upset, that's not episode for you. When I'm talking about today requires something more than quick tricks. It requires a shift in perspective. Right, let's go. Let's start with something fundamental that most husbands have no idea about. The menstrual cycle isn't just those few days in a month. It's a complete cyclical process that divides 2 very different phases, and each of these phases has completely different evolutionary purpose. Dr. Sarah Hill, a scientist specializing in evolutionary psychology, published a groundbreaking book in 2025 called The Period Brain. She analyzes dozens of studies and discovered something fascinating. A woman's brain in the first half of the cycle functions differently than in the second half. Not slightly differently, fundamentally differently. Why? Because it has 2 completely different jobs to do. So the first half of the cycle is called the follicular phase. It lasts for the first day of menstruation to ovulation, roughly 14 days. In this phase, your wife's body has one clear goal: reproduction. From an evolutionary perspective, this is the time when her body is saying, now, this is the moment to attract a partner, make contact, make risks, go out into the world. And this isn't a metaphor. Research shows that in this phase, women's energy levels increase. They feel stronger, more motivated to act. Confidence grows. They are more willing to take risks, more assertive. Internally, social interactions increases. They want interest in social interactions increases. They want to go out, meet people, be active. Even their faces become more symmetrical. Yes, research confirms this. In the follicular phase, women objectively look more attractive. As a husband, you probably noticed this, right? I did. There's that week in the month when your wife has more energy, she's more open to plans, communication flows more easily, she's up for more things. Obviously, this isn't coincidence. This is the follicular phase in action. And then ovulation happens, and everything changes. The second half of the cycle is called the luteal phase. It lasts from ovulation to the next period, another 14 days roughly. And in this phase, your wife's body has completely different goal, preparing for and protecting pregnancy. Yes, and there's a crucial thing you need to understand. Her body doesn't know whether she's actually pregnant, so it prepares as if the pregnancy has already occurred every month throughout her reproductive life. Progesterone levels surge, and this is one hormone changes everything. Dr. Sarah Hill explains 7 biological realities in the luteal phase. Each of them makes evolutionary sense. First, massive hormonal changes. Progesterone rises body temperature by about half a degree. Your wife is literally warmer. She has trouble sleeping. She feels uncomfortable. This isn't in her head, it's physical reality. Second, lowered immunity. Her immune system deliberately weakens. Why? Because if she's pregnant, her body must tolerate the embryo, which is technically 50% foreign genetic material. So the immune system backs off. And the effect is she's susceptible to illness. Third, increased energy needs. Her body requires about 300 extra calories per day. That's the same energy cost as the first trimester of pregnancy. That's not stress eating, it's a biological need. Fourth, energy conservation mode. Since the body is using more energy internally, there's less for everything else. That's why the workout that was enjoyable a week ago is now unbearable. The social gathering she was looking forward to now sounds exhausting. Fifth, greater sensibility to social abandonment. In evolutionary terms, pregnancy made a woman vulnerable. Her brain becomes more sensitive to signs that her social support network might abandon her. Your neutral comment might sound like criticism. Your silence might seem like rejection. Sixth and seventh, increased threat detection and greater physical vulnerability. Listen carefully. Each of these changes makes sense. None of them is a problem to fix. This is evolutionary wisdom in action. But there is a problem. We live in a world that was designed for the follicular phase, all the time, non-stop. Society expects women and men to be equally productive, equally motivated, equally energetic throughout the month, throughout the year, and throughout life. That's impossible. And trying to live by this standard leads to frustration in her and in you. Because when your wife enters the luteal phase and you don't understand what is happening, You interpret her behavior through the lens of the follicular phase. You think, what happened? A week ago, she was full of energy, and now she doesn't want to do anything? And a week ago, everything was fine, and now everything irritates her. And you start dancing the dance on frustration. You ask, what's going on? She answers, nothing. Because she doesn't fully understand what she feels and how she feels. You get irritated that something's wrong. She feels unnecessarily guilty that she's not functioning normally because of your expectations. And the truth is, nothing's wrong. She just moved into the second phase of her cycle, and her brain is now operating according to different priorities. Here's a study from 2019, conducted at Harvard University. It showed that couples who understand menstrual cycle biology and adjust their expectations report about 34% fewer conflicts related to minor misunderstandings. So, understanding basic biology. But what does it look like in practice? What did it look like in my marriage? I'll tell you a story. March 2020, pandemic. Our second son is few months old. Our oldest son is 2. We live many kilometers from the nearest family. 0 outside help. Obviously, friends can't visit us. Parents can't come. It's just me, Monika, and 2 small boys in one house, non-stop. Well, Monika is a scientist, but even she wasn't prepared for what would come. One evening, maybe 3 months into lockdown, we were sitting in the living room. The boys are finally asleep, and Monika stares into space, silent. I ask, is everything all right? Silence. Monika, what's going on? I don't know. I don't know. Then she says something that terrifies me. I feel like I'm depressed, but it doesn't make sense. We have healthy children. We are wonderful. I should be happy. Should. That word. How many times have I heard it? From her, from other women, from myself. You should, as if there was one right way to function all the time. Over the next few weeks, I observed and I started noticing a pattern. There were weeks when Monika functioned normally. She had energy. She played with the children. In the evenings, she talked, we played, danced. Everything was fine. And then, as if someone flipped a switch, came a week when everything became heavy. I saw it in her eyes. Fatigue, overwhelm. The body was here, but the energy was just like 2 days away. And the first frustrating part? Obviously, I didn't understand it. I thought, well, did I do something wrong? Well, everything was fine a week ago, and now nothing works. Well, one day in those good weeks, Monika was reading a scientific article, something about hormones and neurology, and suddenly she says, Arkadiusz, look at this. She started explaining to me about the follicular and luteal phases, about progesterone, about changes in the brain, about how what she felt in the bad weeks wasn't depression, but it was luteal phase biology, magnified by isolation, lack of sleep, and pandemic stress. So this isn't my head, she said. This is my body. In my brain, this is physical. And suddenly everything started making sense. Those patterns I've been observing, those changes, it wasn't like she's having a bad week. It was her body going through a cyclical transformation every 2 weeks. And I, instead of understanding it, was treating her like if she was equally energetic all the time. So obviously I was asking like what happened instead of you in luteal phase, right? What do you need now? What can I do for you? So the perspective, right? We started experimenting. So instead of fighting the cycle, we started working with it. If Monika is in follicular phase, when she had more energy, we planned bigger things. If we had something important to sort out, we tried to do it then. If there was a social event, we choose that week. In the luteal phase, we quietened down. Fewer plans, more space. I took one more responsibilities with the children, not because something's wrong, but because her body was in energy conservation mode. And you know what happens? Conflict drops. Frustration decreased. Monika stopped feeling guilty that she wasn't functioning normally because she understood she was functioning exactly as she should, just according to two different modes. So obviously, we didn't solve all the problems. The pandemic was hard, isolation was hard. But you see, we stopped fighting biology and that changed everything. So, okay, I told you the story, I've shared the research, now is the most important part. What can you do with this knowledge? Well, I'm not giving you the theory, I'm giving you some concrete steps. First, you have to start observing. The first thing you need to do is to learn to notice patterns. For the next 2 months, 2 months, 2 cycles, observe your wife. Not to judge her, not to control, but to understand. So, ask yourself questions. In which weeks of the month does she have more energy? When is she more open to social plans? When does she need more space and quiet? When do small things irritate her more? Obviously, don't tell her you're doing this. Don't make it a scientific project. Just observe. Keep notes on your phone, if you must. Well, after 2 months, you will see a pattern. You will see that what seems chaotic and unpredictable is actually very predictable. The second step is talk to your wife about what you have learned. But be careful. This isn't conversation like, hey, I discovered you have hormones. That wouldn't work. You will sound patronizing. Instead, you can try this. Darling, I was recently listening to a podcast. Yeah, you can say Beyond a Happy Marriage about women's biological cycle. And I discovered something interesting, that your brain goes through 2 very different phases during the month, each with a different purpose. I'm wondering if you notice this in yourself. Are there weeks when you have more energy and weeks when you feel you need more space? And give her space to share what she noticed. Don't assume you know better. Obviously, you are outside observer. She lives in this body. And then ask, and this is the most important question, how can I better support you in both phases? What could be helpful? And then last step is to adjust your expectations. You see, now you understand all this. So you have to stop expecting equal energy throughout the month. I suppose this is the hardest, but also it's the most important. If in 1 week your wife has energy for everything and a week later doesn't want to leave the house, obviously it doesn't mean that something is wrong, it just means her body has moved into a different phase. So you have to stop asking stupid questions and start asking, what do you need this week? How can I help you? And you adjust your plans. If you're planning an important conversation, an important decision, going somewhere, do it in her follicular phase when she has more energy. But if she's in luteal phase, be aware that her alertness to threats is higher. Small things may sound more threatening than they are. Neutral comments might be interpreted negatively. This isn't she's oversensitive, it's just her brain in a protective mode. And obviously, stop taking it personally. When your wife's tired, withdrawn, less energetic, it's not about you. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It's not about your ego. It means her body is in energy conversation, preparation, and protection mode. So your role is to support, not fix, not ask what's wrong, just be there. Take one more responsibilities and give space. And you will see when you stop fighting biology, when you start working with it, your marriage would enter a different level. Okay, before I finish, I want to encourage you to dive deeper into this topic. If this episode resonated with you, I have a request. First, go back to our previous episodes. Second, visit our blog on natprofarm.com. Third, and this is the most important, comment on this episode. Tell me what this experience looked like in your marriage. What challenges are you facing? What topics would you like us to cover in the future? Because your comments directly shape the content we create. We are building this community together and your voice matters. And remember, transformation doesn't happen through listening alone. It happens through action. So take one thing from today's episode and commit to trying this week with your wife. Just one. Start observing the pattern. Initiate the conversation, adjust your expectations. One small thing change can transform the dynamics of your entire home. So thank you for being here with me. Until next time, build that beautiful, conscious marriage.